Welcome to What to Do in York. In this video we will explore the things to see in York, England. Before we begin, you may find the tourist information handy on Museum Street. However, we are going to take you along the city walls first and then into the city centre. We're starting at Booth and Bar, where there is an entrance to the bar walls. The walls were built by the Romans in 71 AD, and they cover around 50 acres of land. The walls have bars or gates, such as this one, Booth and Bar. Obviously, the walls have steps, so this is not suitable for those with mobility issues. However, most of the walls are intact, and you get around much of the city using them. In fact, York City walls are the most extensive in the United Kingdom. This is York Minster that dwarfs the city of York, and all its history surrounding it. York has many attractive parks and gardens, and the Minster has gardens surrounding it. The city walls are quite narrow and can be slippery when wet, so please take care. After the Romans, the Danes occupied York and demolished many of its towers. In this period, the Roman walls were in bad repair. However, the Danes repaired them. This is St John's College in the city centre. Before we reach Monk Bar, we walk around the back of a minster. Situated in the Monk Bar Tower is the Richard III Museum. Here you find a narrow staircase to the street below. Monk Bar is very much intact, and it's the largest, dating back from the 14th century. The rooms were once used as a prison for rebellious Catholics. We can return to the city walls by crossing the street below. The walls are sometimes a good vantage point to see other historic buildings en route. There are four main gates or bars: Booth and Bar, Monk Bar, Wormgate Bar and Micklegate Bar. However, originally there were also 6 postern or secondary gates and 44 intermediate towers. The perimeter stretched to 2 miles to protect the city, including the castle. History aside, this structure is not only amazing, but a beautiful landmark in York. True to the city, there are many gardens to view en route. You reach a gap in the wall, but it's only a short walk by the River Foss to rejoin it again. This takes you to the Red Tower, where the steps are at the rear of the structure. The Red Tower was built in 1490 and serves as the only brick section of the city walls. We are continuing onwards towards Wormgate Bar. This is a rear of Wormgate Bar, looking out from the city. There is a cafe here for refreshments. This is a front view, which is sadly closed to traffic for resurfacing. At the other side of the road is the stairs back on the wall and the cafe. As you can see, some sections of the wall do not have a fence on the inner side, so please be careful. However, accidents are extremely rare and the walls are sometimes closed in bad weather. You eventually reach a smaller gate known as Fishergate Bar. Only around the corner is Fishergate Tower, where this section of the wall ends. However, it ends with this fantastic tower that has recently been restored. We are going to continue over the road and over the River Foss to see something rather unique. Just behind the River Foss is the rear of the Castle Museum. The River Foss is the smaller of two rivers that meets the River Ouse just behind us. Around the corner, heading towards the city, is the famous Clifford's Tower. This is where we leave Romans and Vikings and get a glimpse of Norman times. Originally, the mound had a wooden structure on top, made by William the Conqueror in 1068. However, it was burnt down in 1190 when Jews were massacred on the site. Henry III ordered it to be rebuilt and strengthened using stone. The Castle Museum dwells underneath. We will be covering museums in another video on this channel. We cross the road away from the city over the large River Ouse on Skeldergate Bridge. The bridge was built between 1878 and 1880, designed by George Gordon Page. On the other side, you see the Foss merging with this mighty river. We return to the city walls at Bale Hill. Take care here as there are many steps. This section takes us towards Micklegate Bar, our last gate. This takes you along the edge of the city centre. This is Victoria Bar, that is parallel to Nunnery Lane. Only moments along is the impressive Micklegate Bar. Micklegate derives from Micklith, meaning Great Street. Down below is a busy shopping street that is cobbled at the foot of a hill. Just around the corner, the wall overstretches where York Station once stood. The Victorian station now stands on the left, that was once the largest station in the world. York Station is situated on the East Coast Main Line from London to Scotland. It was designed by Thomas Prosser and William Peachey and opened in 1877. The building was once heavily bombed during World War II. The wall continues back directly into the city centre, where we will explore another building. You walk by the entrance to York Station as well as the Royal York Hotel that adjoins it. In the distance you see the enormity of the famous York Minster. It stands 60 feet, which is amazing for the era it was built in. In order to get there, we once again cross the Ouse, pronounced ooze. York Boat runs short excursions up and down the Ouse with tour guides. This is Lendal Bridge, of which replaced a ferry service in the later 1800s. It serves as one of the three main bridges across the River Ouse in the city. There are eating places to reside in the towers at either end. At the opposite side of the river, on the left-hand side, is the museum gardens. This is the multangular tower, part of the city walls. The attractive park, albeit February, are popular all year round. This is one of what is remaining of towers that the Danes demolished. It is also the home of the Yorkshire Museum and St Mary's Abbey. Returning to the road, we walk up towards the huge Minster. York Minster is the second largest cathedral of its size and type in Northern Europe. Work began on the Minster in 1230 and wasn't completed until 1472. It has a cruciform plan with an octagonal chapter house attached to the north transept. It overlooks the streets of Deansgate, Low and High Petergate towards Booth and Bar. Surprisingly, it can get windy down here because of the size of the structure. The creamy white stone comes from nearby Tadcaster. It is also known for its stained glass. This includes the famous rose window, which was damaged by a storm in the 1980s. The Minster was damaged in 1069 during William the Conqueror's harrying of the north. York has more to see, as it boasts some magnificent medieval streets. These streets include some interesting retailers, including gift and sweet shops. High Petergate was the main medieval street into York. Low Petergate, however, is longer. This leads on to King's Square, past the Chocolate Story Museum to the Shambles. The Shambles is a medieval street where the upper rooms are almost touching each other. This charming street attracts thousands of visitors from all over the world. York is full of quaint historic buildings from many eras from the city's founding. There are also open continental markets as well as major retailers. There are many Victorian clocks about the city that adorn the historic architecture. York was originally Iberacum to the Romans and later Jorvik to the Vikings. However, it also has connections to Guy Fawkes, who failed to blow up the Houses of Parliament. Just behind the Minster is Minster Yard, that has some interesting historic dwellings. You almost feel as if you've stepped backwards in time. York is certainly a tempting place to visit, especially if you enjoy sightseeing. Without a doubt, it is saturated in history that makes it an intriguing place to visit. But even if you're not keen on history, it's a remarkable day out or vacation. It attracts people of all ages, from the young to the old. It also attracts shoppers too. York is very much a place for all the family, and there are a variety of museums throughout. In our next video, we will give you a guide on what museums you can expect to find in York. We'll also be producing videos on wining and dining, walking and other attractions. We'll also be producing information on cinemas and theatres in the city. We hope that you have enjoyed this video, our guide to sightseeing in York. For more information about York, please subscribe to this channel. Bye for now.